I stared at the subject line flashing across my inbox. Urgent, let's talk. Kevin, of course. For a second, I considered deleting it without opening, but curiosity got the better of me. I clicked. Olivia. The message began. We need to have a conversation. I realize Friday night wasn't handled properly, and I regret how things came across. You are important to this company, and I don't want to lose you. Let's meet to discuss options, salary, title, flexibility, whatever it takes. I'm confident we can reach an arrangement. I let out a short, humorless laugh. Now he cared. Now that he was panicking, scrambling, bleeding leadership credibility. Now he wanted to negotiate. Where was this urgency when I was working 12-hour days to cover for his poor planning? Where was this recognition when I was leading entire projects he slapped someone else's name on? I closed the email without replying. My silence would sting more than words ever could. Packing the last framed photo from my desk into the cardboard box, I straightened. My movements were slow, deliberate, calm. Around me, I could feel the quiet hum of the office shift, the awareness spreading like ripples in water. People avoided eye contact, whispering just low enough to pretend I couldn't hear. But Carolyn didn't whisper. She leaned against my desk, arms crossed. So, what's next for you? Something better, I said simply. Her eyes lit up with curiosity. Competitor? Not exactly. Matthew Evans' firm. Her jaw dropped. You're serious? He's starting something new? I nodded. And I'll be leading operations. Carolyn let out a low whistle. Kevin is going to lose it. Good, I said, my voice even. He should. The elevator dinged softly behind me, pulling my attention. Emma stood awkwardly by her desk, twisting a pen in her hands. When our eyes met, she hesitated, then walked over. Olivia, she started, her voice careful. I just want you to know, I never asked for that promotion. Kevin offered it, and I didn't feel like I could say no. I studied her face. She looked nervous, even guilty, but not malicious. Emma was a pawn in a game she didn't know she was playing. I don't blame you, I said quietly, but I won't pretend it doesn't sting. Her eyes glistened. She opened her mouth to say more, but Kevin's door slammed open, his voice booming across the office. Olivia, my office, now. The room froze. Every head turned, phones were lowered, typing stopped, conversations cut off. It was like the entire floor was holding its breath. I didn't rush. I slid the lid onto my box, adjusted my blazer, and rose. Each step toward his office felt deliberate, measured. Kevin stood in the doorway, shoulders tense, his usual arrogance replaced with something I'd never seen before, desperation. When I stepped inside, the door shut behind me with a heavy click. He gestured to the chair opposite his desk. Sit. I didn't. I placed my box neatly on the floor and remained standing. His jaw tightened. Fine. Stand. Then, he ran a hand through his hair and leaned forward, his voice low. Urgent. Olivia, don't do this. You're making a mistake. I tilted my head, calm and unshaken. Funny. That's exactly what I was thinking about you on Friday night. His mouth opened, but no sound came out. For once, Kevin didn't have control of the room. And for the first time in 7 years, I did. Meeting request, 20 minutes. Location, my office. The message sat on my screen, stark and urgent. My eyes lingered on the words, and I sighed, leaning back in my chair. Desperate men do desperate things. Kevin wasn't inviting me. He was summoning me, or at least, he thought he was. I didn't rush. I packed the last of my files neatly into the box on my desk, adjusted my blazer, and let him wait. By the time I walked down the familiar hallway toward his office, the air in the building seemed heavier, the whispers sharper. Everyone knew something had shifted. When I stepped inside, the door clicked shut behind me like it had so many times before. But this time, the atmosphere was different. Kevin didn't look like Kevin. The arrogance, the smug confidence that had always dripped from him, gone. He looked like a man who had been forced to stare into the mirror and didn't like what he saw. Olivia, he began quickly, leaning forward, elbows pressed on his desk like he was trying to anchor himself. Let's talk about this. You're making a rash decision. A dry laugh escaped me before I could stop it. Rash? Kevin, I gave this place 7 years of my life. I stayed late. I carried entire projects on my back. I coached junior staff while you took credit for their success. The only rash decision here was yours. His mouth tightened, eyes flashing with the temper he was barely containing. Look, I'll admit I mishandled the promotion situation, but we can fix this. He straightened, almost defensive now. I'll match whatever Matthew's offering you. I tilted my head, studying him. You don't even know what Matthew offered me. Does it matter? He snapped, his voice rising. We'll figure it out. Higher salary, more flexibility, whatever it takes. I lifted a hand and cut him off, the same way he had silenced me in meetings for years. You still don't get it, do you? The silence that followed was thick, uncomfortable. I leaned forward just slightly, my voice low and steady. It was never about the money, Kevin. It was about respect. His jaw clenched, nostrils flaring, but I saw it, the confusion, the refusal to understand. I don't want to work at a place that only notices my value when I'm already halfway out the door. I continued. You don't get to suddenly appreciate me now that you're in panic mode. If I wasn't worth it before, why should I believe I am now? Kevin's composure cracked. Olivia, be reasonable. You're giving up stability for what? A risky startup that might not even last a year? I smiled, calm and unwavering. That startup is run by someone who actually sees what I bring to the table. I'd rather gamble on someone who believes in me than stay here, treated like I'm disposable. I rose from my chair, smoothing my jacket, and looked him dead in the eyes. Goodbye, Kevin. The word hung in the air like a gavel. When I stepped out, the office seemed to hold its breath. I carried my box toward the elevator, each step deliberate. A few coworkers clapped softly, hesitant, supportive, like they wanted me to know they saw me. Heads nodded, eyes met mine, solidarity unspoken. Emma stayed frozen at her desk until I passed. Then she rose and hurried over. Olivia, I didn't know, she said softly, wringing her hands. I raised an eyebrow. Didn't know what? Her mouth opened, then closed again. No answer. She knew. Maybe she hadn't asked for the promotion, but she hadn't refused it either. It's fine, Emma, I said, my voice flat but not cruel. Enjoy the promotion. She flinched, guilt flickering across her face, but the elevator door slid shut between us, and I let out a slow exhale. This wasn't just the end of something, it was the beginning. The following Monday, I stood outside a gleaming glass building, Evans and Associates, smaller, newer, buzzing with possibility. I stared up at the sign and felt something I hadn't in years, excitement. Inside, my reflection in the polished elevator doors stared back at me, stronger, steadier, free. By noon, I was seated in a bright corner office with floor-to-ceiling windows and a door that closed when I wanted it to. My office. The morning flew by, introductions, strategy discussions, real conversations where people actually listened. For once, I didn't have to fight to be heard. At the leadership meeting, Matthew turned to me. Olivia, I'd like you to lead our new operations initiative. We're restructuring, and with your background, you're the best person for the job. No begging, no proving myself for the 100th time, just trust, respect. I'd love to, I said calmly. Around the table, heads nodded. This was how it should always have been. The first crack in Kevin's facade reached me 3 days later. Carolyn messaged me. Olivia, OMG, Kevin is losing it. Since you left, it's chaos. I smirked, scrolling. Emergency meetings, clients calling nonstop. Emma's floundering, she doesn't even know half of what you did. It's a disaster. A laugh bubbled out of me. Kevin had thought I was replaceable. He was learning the hard way I wasn't. Another ping. 5 clients already asked for you by name. They're furious you left. That was the moment satisfaction bloomed in my chest. I hadn't stolen a single client. They were coming to me because they trusted me, because respect can't be faked. By the end of the week, 5 of my old firm's largest accounts had moved to Evans and Associates. And Kevin? He was spiraling. Carolyn's updates painted the picture clearly: angry investors, restless board members, Kevin's temper snapping behind closed doors. The empire he thought he controlled was crumbling in his hands. And I wasn't lifting a finger. The only thing I did was succeed somewhere else. One quiet Friday, My phone buzzed with an email. Subject: a proposal. Olivia. I'd like to have a conversation. I believe we can come to a mutually beneficial arrangement if you're open to it. Let's schedule a meeting next week. Looking forward to your response. I leaned back, smiling. For 7 years he dismissed me. Now he was begging. My reply was short, controlled. Subject: a proposal, Kevin. I'm available for a brief meeting Monday at 9 a.m. Let me know if that works. I closed my laptop. For the first time, I wasn't going to his office as an employee. I was going as the storm he couldn't stop. And this time, I wasn't walking in to negotiate. I was walking in to watch him squirm.